right, so we are recording officially. My name is Michelle Moore, and for those of you that don't know me or who I am, I want to share with you a little bit about my background before I dive into this topic tonight. So, what I wanted to speak with you about today was how to set empowered goals, goals that actually work and don't make you feel like crap as you strive toward achievement. And as I said a moment ago, my name is Michelle Moore. I have been in the coaching, speaking, and training arena for about a year and a half. And prior to that, I spent about 10 years in the direct sales industry, 9 of those years as a leader in the industry. And even before that, I spent time in the fitness world, personal training, teaching aerobics. I've always been sort of obsessed, I guess you could say, with human transformation, right? And why we do the things that we do and how to really help people break through the barriers that are keeping them stuck and preventing them from moving forward. And at this place that I'm at right now, I really want to make things easier for people. I want to be able to share the things that I wish I knew. And I'll tell you very honestly, from my personal perspective, there are a lot of generalities when it comes to success. And there are some people who can put a goal on a goal poster and who can just run after it and achieve it and make it happen and feel phenomenal the whole entire time and just like crush it, right? I am not one of those people. And I know from my experience as a coach that there are many people out there who are just like me. And this is not a judgment on the other people. I think that's great for them. But I do feel from my experience that the set a goal on a goal poster, create affirmations to support it, and go get it attitude can make those of us that approach doesn't work for. I know for me, I felt alone and I felt isolated, and it affirmed my story of not being good enough. And I felt kind of like a failure in my inability to be able to succeed. And I just kept telling myself if I worked harder, I'm obviously not working hard enough. I just need to strive more and do more and achieve more. And it wasn't enough. And my intention from this training today is to really have you have some tangible steps to break down your big vision of the things that you want to accomplish this year and really be able to craft a plan that is going to work for you, going to serve you, and going to help you feel empowered and feel joyful and excited as you work toward those things that you have your heart set on for this year. So let me tell you very honestly, I did not have a great relationship as it pertains to goal setting. To be honest, I didn't really like it. And I remember I was at an event just this past, well, it was this summer in 2017. And I kind of came face to face with the fact that I really avoided goal setting. I was somebody who would work. I'm a very hard worker, but I worked without actually having goals. So I was working super hard, but there wasn't really a purpose. And I would find myself getting, and I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but I would get emotionally drunk, right? Where I would be at a live event or at like in a group like coaching program, and I would get inspired and activated, and I would set these wild these big goals of things that I was going to accomplish. And I believe fully in live events and in group coaching programs. I believe that our human soul, that we need that inspiration and we need that connection. And I believe that those types of events are extremely important. But a lot of times what happens is that we create expectations And we end up trying to motivate ourselves with things that don't actually drive us at an unconscious level. We can set goals when we're in this emotionally intoxicated space. We can set goals that are really far away from where we are right now in our lives. And we can make these big, massive declarations, and we hear things, at least I heard things like, if a goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. And I get that. But at the same time, what I know to be true is that if you don't have a plan that is individual, if you don't have a specific, tangible, actionable plan to achieve that goal that you set, it's not going to happen. And I really want to make this invitation to you right now. If you don't already have a relationship with a coach, if you don't already have somebody that you are working with, I would love, you can email me at michelle@coachmichellemoore.com. I would love to jump on the phone with you, totally free consultation, and really help you take your individual goal and break it down into tangible action steps for you. Because I'm going to speak today in generalities of things that you can do, but honestly, the only way for me or anyone else to answer that, well, what about me? And what about my specific situation? The only way to get that answered is through individual attention. So if you do have a relationship with a coach, reach out to them. And if you don't and you feel so called, definitely reach out to me. I'd be happy to do that with you. So like I was saying, we set these big, huge, and I'm going to say unrealistic goals, and they're not unrealistic. Hear me on this. They're not unrealistic because they're not possible for you. They're not unrealistic because they cannot be achieved. They are unrealistic because they are so far away from where you are right now. And when we get in that space of anything is possible and this is my year, we forget, right? Because we're emotionally intoxicated. We forget about obstacles. We forget about our schedules. We forget about our commitments. And then we've set this big goal. We've not considered any of those things, and we don't create a tangible action plan. So we don't change any of our habits. We don't change our routine, and nothing changes. And so what happens then is in our brains, we start to connect goal equals feel like crap. And I really want to invite you to stop beating yourself up when you're not achieving a goal that you didn't do the work for, right? And perhaps you've heard the saying, don't be upset with the results you didn't get from the work that you didn't do. And I don't say that with any kind of attitude. I say that very genuinely, because if you are beating yourself up for not getting a result, but you didn't do any work or take any steps to actually achieve the result, that, let me say this, you're never going to beat yourself up to success. And that self-abuse, that self-sabotage, that's what keeps you stuck. That's what keeps you in this, feeling like crap space. So let me give you an example personally. I have been wanting to do a headstand in yoga for about 1.5 years. And if you ask me right now, hey, can you do a headstand? The answer is no. Mm-mm. I still can't do it. I do have a yoga practice, and I do yoga almost every single day, but I can't do a headstand. Here's why. Because I do not have a practice that has a deliberate program in place to achieve the result of headstand. So I can't be mad. Right? And what I would used to do in the past was I would beat myself up. I'd be like, you suck. You're so unflexible. Yoga doesn't work for you. Like, you say you're going to do this. You can't ever do it. You're never going to get it done. Right? All of this head chatter comes in, when in reality, while I've been doing yoga and practicing yoga, I haven't been practicing with the deliberate steps to be able to do the headstand, right? I didn't reach out to a mentor. I didn't Google like any kind of specific plan to be able to have that be the result. So that's what I mean when I say don't beat yourself up for the results you didn't get from the work that you didn't do. My intention, my goal, my desire for you is to feel good and to feel empowered and to love yourself and celebrate yourself to success instead of trying to beat yourself up on your way there, because it's not going to happen. I personally don't know of anyone who has self-abused their way into achievement. And if you know someone who has, my guess is that the results are short-lived, right? And maybe you've heard this analogy before, but I think about when a child is learning to walk, right? We don't tell them that they're a loser and that they suck every time we fall down, right? We celebrate them and we applaud them and we're like, yay, you're awesome. Look at you. You took one step. And it's really important, and we're going to talk about that tonight as we continue, that you have that same attitude toward yourself in really celebrating and loving and cheering yourself on. So what happened to me is that I decided to unconsciously avoid goal setting because ultimately my brain wants me to feel good, and I've made that connection, right? Goals equal feel bad. So I'm at this event in 2017, and my coach, Sean Smith, asks a room full of people, right? He asks us, how do you feel about goal setting? And my attitude, like my answer was, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Now, I'm a coach. I'm a teacher. I work with a ton of people in the direct sales industry, helping them like strategize and set up goals for themselves. And my attitude about goal setting is, What I realized, I was like, holy, you know what? This is a problem. Like, this is a problem. And what he helped me realize, and this is really important, so I want you to listen in now, is that my problem is not with goal setting. My problem was around my head talk and my language and what I said to myself when I missed the target that I set. So the problem is not with the setting of the goals. The problem is what I said, the story I created about what it meant about me when that goal was not achieved. That's what I was resisting. And resisting the experience of not hitting your goals is different than being afraid of goal setting. I want to repeat that. Resisting the experience of not hitting your goals is different than being afraid of goal setting. They're not the same thing. And it's really important that you disassociate those two. Okay, so let's talk about why we should set goals, what their purpose is, because understanding that for me has helped me have more ease and more joy and more freedom and more excitement about setting goals. And I want that same thing for you. So why should we set goals? Well, our unconscious mind loves goal setting. That's where, I don't know if you've ever heard of the phrase creating a SMART goal, right? Our brains love having that specific measurable goal with a timetable and the actionable items with the deadlines. Our brains get excited about that. So on an unconscious level, your mind really loves goal setting. Where we get twisted is in the purpose, why we're setting goals. What's the reason that we're doing it? And the purpose of a goal is not the achievement of the goal. The purpose of the goal is to ignite you into action. And let me explain that a little bit more. Google, I looked this up. Google says that a goal is the object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or a desired result. Nothing about like actually achieving it. It's the aim, right? It is the object over here of our ambition and our effort. So the purpose of the goal is action. It's not about getting it right. It's not about hitting the target that we've set. It's about the action that's created because we set the goal. So from my experience, when we set a goal, one of three things are going to happen. Either we're going to hit the goal. Yay! And let's use an example of releasing weight. Okay, so say that you set a goal for the month of January, you were going to release 5 pounds. Okay, so either you're going to hit the goal, and on January 31st, you're going to get on the scale, or February 1st, you're going to get on the scale, you're going to be 5 pounds lighter. Yay! Or you're going to miss the goal and you're going to learn something. So maybe you only release 3 pounds, but what you learned is that you don't like to work out at night, and you didn't work out as many times as you had planned on because you didn't realize that you just don't put in the same effort or energy at night that you do when you work out earlier in the day. Maybe you realized that you like to kind of nosh on snacks late at night, and you didn't know that really before you kind of set out this weight release journey plan for yourself. And so now you recognize that you need to remove the snacks that you had in the house and bring in healthier alternatives, right? So the second possibility is that you missed the goal, but you learned a couple things so that you can move forward better equipped next time. And the third thing that could possibly happen is that you are guided to something even better. So maybe you join a gym and you meet some really cool people who also like running on the treadmill with you. You get invited to join a running club. You make new friends. You have new connections, new support systems in place. And you step on the scale on February 1st and you've released 6 pounds. Even better than you thought was possible. So when you look at it from that perspective, from the place of you can either hit the goal, you can miss the goal, but you can learn something, or you are guided to something even better, from that place, hitting the goal is kind of the lamest thing that could happen. And let me say this, winning is fun. Like, achieving is fun. Success feels great, and it is necessary. That's why I'm a big advocate of creating micro wins, and we're going to talk about that as I continue. But when we're winning, we're not really learning anything, right? The learning, the growth, the development comes in. I don't even like the word failure. Like, it just comes in when, like, it just didn't go the way we thought it would, right? It comes in when the experiment didn't yield the results that we thought it would yield. And I want you to remember, the universe or God or whatever you believe in will guide you to what you are meant for your highest good. It doesn't guide you to what you think you're meant for. Right? It doesn't really care about your plans. It's going to guide you to what it knows is best for you, not what you think is best. So I really want to invite you to release the specific attachment to what you think is possible, because, man, the universe is infinite and it has ways of delivering to you things that are beyond your wildest expectations. And if you even think for just a moment of just a handful of really cool things that happened to you in the past year, in 2017, if you really think about just things that in January of 2017, you never could have predicted that you had at the end of last year, then you'll see that, right? The universe has ways of delivering things that we can't even with our conscious mind even fathom. But none of this awareness is going to come from your intellect. It's only going to come through action. And that's why it's really important for you to reframe the purpose of a goal from achievement to getting into action, so that you either hit the goal, you miss it, and you learn something so that you can execute even better the next time, or you go way, way past to something even better. So I want to give you 7 steps to really help you, if you don't jump on the phone with me or with your individual coach, I want to give you 7 steps that you can take to really help set empowered goals for yourself that are going to work for you this year. So the very first step, and it's not too late. I don't care if you're watching this at the end of January or February or March. It's not too late, okay? I want you to do a 2017 review. So that's the first step. You can take, 15 minutes, you could take a couple of hours, but schedule the time in your planner, block out the time uninterrupted to review over last year. And I want you to ask yourself and really look from a very neutral, almost like scientific observer perspective, right? There's no judgment, no excuses, no stories. Just look, what happened? Did you have clear targets in place? Take an honest and very neutral inventory. When I think about a scientist who's reviewing like results from an experiment, they're not putting any emotional energy into it. They're just looking at the facts. And that's what I want you to do here. So what happened? Honest, neutral inventory. And I want you to answer the question, did I have clear targets in place? The next part of this is I want you to create 17 wins for 2017. I mentioned this briefly earlier, but it is so important to celebrate your success. We are a completely under-celebrated society. We are always driven to the next achievement, the next thing, the next goal, the next a thing to do, where we have to go, and the finish line continuously gets moved further back and further back and further back, and we just end up feeling horrible because there's no celebration, and we feel like we're just constantly working hard but not actually achieving anything. How do you know you're winning if that's the case? So 17 wins in 2017. I want you to look at lessons. What are things that you learned from this past year? And then what could you have done differently, or would you do differently now moving forward? So that's the first step, that 2017 review. The second step, and I don't think we spend a lot of time here either, but I want you to create the space in your schedule to dream. As little as 5 minutes and as many as 15, 20, 45 minutes, whatever feels right to you. But I want this again in your calendar, blocked off. Set that specific. I'm going to do this from 1 to 2 o'clock tomorrow, right? And I want you to close your eyes and I want you to place your hand on your heart and I want you to breathe and focus originally breathing in through your nose and then out through your mouth. So with your eyes closed, I just want you to take a couple deep breaths. And as you continue, and this might sound a little woo-woo, I want you to envision breathing in from your heart. I want you to really connect with this space in your heart where your desires live, not in your head where the things that you think you should be doing, where expectations, either yours or others, where they live. That's why it's so important to connect to your heart. So sit quietly, and I want you to really dream about what would feel good for you. Like what would feel really, really good for you? What experiences do you want to have this year? Who do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to show up as? And how do you want to feel? And when I did this today, and I did it today, it's January 18th, and today is the day I did it, so it's not too late, right? I'm not perfect. What came up for me was to move with less resistance, right? That's what I want to do this year. I want to be able to move and execute with less resistance. So the third part is to create tangible goals. So I want you to create 3 to 5 specific things that would need to happen in order for you to, whatever you came up with in the last question, right? So for me, and I was literally on a call today with my coach, okay, and he asked me what would need to happen in order for you to move with less resistance. What does that look like? And let me tell you what I told my coach today, okay? I said I would record more videos, I would post more on YouTube, I would post on social media more boldly, speaking my opinions unapologetically, I would write more. And he asked me, okay, now this is today, the same day that I'm recording this training right now, okay? He asked me, he said, I'm going to read this back to you, and I want you to assume the role of the coach. And I want you to listen to what you just said, and I want you to tell me what you heard, okay? And he read my answers back to me, and I was like, oh, there's literally nothing tangible or specific about anything that I said. And I know that. And that's why it is so important that you have support, that you have a coach, that you have a mentor, that you have accountability partners, that you attend live events and you stay connected, because the truth is you can know this stuff intellectually. You could teach this stuff, hello, to other people, but when it comes to yourself, it's almost as if your head is in a box, right? Like my head is in a box and my problem is inside the box. And all the solutions to my problem are outside of the box. And I can't see them because my head is in the box. And the same thing is true for you. That's why we need that outside perspective to be able to look at us and help us to see what we're unable to see. So I had no tangible finish line. How on earth was I going to know when I was actually achieving anything? How was I going to know when I was winning, when I was crossing the line? I mean, our unconscious minds, mine, yours, all of our unconscious mind needs clarity. It needs specifics. So it's very important that you, during this process, back it up to something specific. And I'm going to give you a way to do that. Number 4, visualize your version of a 10. In whatever area you said, whether it was weight loss or a business development goal, I want you to really think about. And so for me, I chose speaking, and my goal was to get paid speaking gigs this year. Great. What is my version of a 10? And if you don't have the goal yet, you can go back to the space of, moving with less resistance. What does that look like, right? What is my, and this is totally personal, what is my version of a 10? Okay. And really allow yourself to go there. So spend just a few minutes. It doesn't take long. You don't have to have 45 minutes a day to meditate. You can do this in 2 or 3 minutes. Really think about, what does that look like? How am I going to feel? Who's going to be there? What are they going to be saying? What's happening? What does it sound like? Are there smells or sensations that I'm experiencing? What is my version of a 10? And then number 5, you want to ask yourself, and this is an honest assessment, where am I now in comparison to my version of a 10? So where am I now with moving with less resistance? My version of a 10, where am I now? 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest end, 10 being the ideal, right? And don't let your ego get you tripped into saying higher than you think, right? If you're between 2 numbers, go lower. So if you're like, I don't know, a 2 or a 3, pick a 2, okay? And that was where it was for me, okay? So don't let your ego talk you out of this. This is all for your personal growth and development. So be honest with where you're at. The other part of this is the objective is not to try to go from a 2 all the way to a 10. And we kind of want to do that, right? We have this microwave society. We have this attitude of like, how can I be excellent immediately, right? I'm totally like raise his hand, 100% guilty of this. I'm like, okay, well, I'm over here. How do I get over here immediately? Here's the problem. When you're at a 2, you don't even know what a 10 activity looks like. It's too far away. You can't even see it. So you can have that 10 be your ideal, be your big goal, but we got to back that truck up so that you can actually visualize what the tangible next steps are. And you can only see just a step in front of you. Okay, and this is where we get into the conversation of creating those micro wins. So trying to go from a 1 to a 10 is going to keep you stuck because it's not going to happen. Okay, I mean, really, like from my experience, maybe there's 1 out of, I don't know, 1 million people that can achieve this. But from my experience, it's not going to happen. You're going to feel discouraged. You're going to believe that you suck and cue all of your own personal head talk, right? What is imperative is that you create the energy of winning. So how do you go from a 1 to a 2? Or in my case, a 2 to a 3, or a 3 to a 4, or a 5 to a 6. Are you with me? That's how you can create those tangible, specific goals. So I was on my phone or on the phone with my coach today, and here I have it on a file card. Oh, it's on my desk somewhere. Well, anyway, I have papers everywhere. I have a tangible, like, what are my commitments? And here's what I said I was going to do. I'm committed to doing one of these trainings a month. I'm committed to posting each of those trainings onto YouTube. I'm committed to doing 2 Facebook Lives every week. I am committed to going ahead and clearing the space in my schedule 30 minutes, 2 days out of the week to record videos. Not necessarily to post anything, but just to get in the habit and the routine of speaking, of getting clarity on my message, of getting practice and learning all of the kind of details and ins and outs of how things work. And I'm committed to going online, finding a local Toastmasters in my area and going to one of their meetings. Those are my commitments. That's what I said I was going to do to get myself right now from a 2 to a 3 as far as moving with less resistance, working toward my bigger goal of getting paid to be a speaker. Okay, I hope this is making sense. Please message me if you have any questions or you lack any sort of clarity. I would be more than happy to answer them for you. Number 6, and this is super important, and I think sometimes we can almost feel like it's counterintuitive, but you have got to consider obstacles. You got to practice falling. You got to be aware of what is potentially going to get in your way. So what are the internal and the external things that could stop you from doing what you said you were going to do? If you bring light to them and attention to them initially, you're not as taken aback by them when they end up happening. So for me, I'll just answer honestly, potential obstacles to my goal. Well, fear of judgment, concern, and the story that right now in the living situation that I'm in, I don't really have like a super stellar place to record videos. But I'm not going to let that stop me. Right now, I say that, but it is a possibility, right? I could use that as an excuse, like, the lighting's not great or whatever. I could say that I don't have the ideal mic setup. I could not get up early enough to get ready and use the fact that my hair's not done or my makeup's not done as an excuse not to record videos. I could not set aside the time in my schedule and then get it filled with other things. I could not honor my boundaries or communicate my boundaries around my schedule to have the space to do the recordings. So all of these are things that could potentially be obstacles for me to not do what I said I was going to do. Now, number 7 is how you're going to avoid that. and that is accountability. Listen, I don't know that there is any kind of secret sauce to success and achievement, but if there were, it would absolutely be accountability. Here's the thing, you are not capable of bringing out the best in yourself. And that is not a judgment against you. That is just a fact of humanity. We make excuses for why we can't do things. Have you ever heard that excuses are lies that we tell ourselves that no one believes but us, right? We believe them, right? We tell ourselves excuses and we make them sound so good, right? We can justify and validate and just tell a story about why we can't do something. That's why we are not capable of holding our own selves accountable. It's literally not possible for us. And it is imperative that we set ourselves up for success in creating consistent clockwork habits, automated habits that achieve predictable results. And we all have them now. We all have clockwork habits and they all have predictable results, right? We have a clockwork habit of potentially getting up in the morning and checking social media as the first thing that we do. Or we have a clockwork habit of, having coffee in the morning, or a clockwork habit of hitting the snooze alarm, or doing our devotional, or reading something inspirational in the morning. And all of those things have predictable results. And it's important that you create the space to create new habits and set yourself up with with the systems to actually get things done. And when you're setting up new systems, having accountability is helpful. Right now, I am not in the routine of recording videos every day, or not every day. Well, I'm not in the routine of doing that, but I'm not in the routine of recording videos 2 times out of the week. I'm not in the routine of doing 2 Facebook Lives every single week. I'm not in the routine of going to Toastmasters. I'm just not. It's not part of my clockwork habits right now. So I have to get accountability around doing that. And so there are a couple ways you can do this. You can do this with an accountability partner or with your coach, or you can post on social media. And we don't love losing money. So I like to tell my clients to do something financial. So it could be something like me getting on Facebook and saying, hey, I've made a commitment to attend Toastmasters on, and I don't know, because I literally came up with this today. I haven't done any research of when the meetings are in my area, but let's just say that they're on Fridays at noon. I commit to going to this meeting on Friday at noon. And if I don't, I'm going to give the first 10 people who post on this, who comment on this post, I'm going to give them each $10. And it has to be something financial, and it has to be something that is feasible for you to do, but will sting a little bit. Okay. And I say that because we don't like losing money, and you don't want to say $1 million if you don't have $1 million to give. And you don't want to say $1 if $10 wouldn't really hurt that much, right? If you're really wanting to achieve things, this is if you're really serious about what you say that you want, that kind of public accountability will get you every time. And I have clients that are in the same position. We have commitments for them where they're going to send a check to a cause or a campaign that they don't agree with if they don't get done what they say they're going to do. And let me tell you what happens. Every time they get it done. It works. So get on that accountability. I tell you, I've gotten more stuff accomplished because I had cash on the line than I ever would have without that accountability. And in closing, I just want to use, I said in the title of this, right, creating goals that actually work. And so I want to use that acronym WORK to give you just 4 bullet points to help you remember important pieces of this conversation, right? Because I know it's a lot of information. I know you're not necessarily going to retain all of it just from listening this one time. And this is something that really helps me break down the pieces that I believe are the most important. So using WORK as an acronym, the W stands for who gave you that goal. So who gave you that goal? Is it really yours, or is it something that somebody else told you you should want? Are you chasing a goal because you think you're supposed to and that it's not even anything that's of interest to you? Do you think if you're a speaker, you're just supposed to travel around the world, but that's not anything that's of interest to you? Do you really want to make multiple six figures? Like, really? Or do you just want to be able to have a business that sustains you to be at home with your kids? And that actually only requires $85,000 a year. Do you really want to lose weight, or do you think that you're supposed to, right? Do you really want to achieve, X position in your company? Or did somebody else give you that goal? And are you trying to unconsciously or consciously motivate yourself with things that don't unconsciously drive you? So who gave you that goal? It's really important that your goals are yours. The O stands for ownership. And that leads right into this, right? It's so important to remember that not only you're taking personal ownership of your goal, but that you're also taking ownership of the activities. Really making sure that you have the tangible steps that are able to be put into your calendar that are completely controlled by you. It's dangerous and super slippery slope with your emotions, and you end up being really unstable if your achievements depend on other people doing things, right? The things, if you look at my commitments, none of them are dependent upon anyone else. They're all things that I can do, right? As provided that there is a Toastmasters meeting in my area, I just have to drive there, right? I have to hit record. I have to show up for the calls and for the trainings and push, live on my cell phone, right? No one else has to do anything. They're all controlled by me, my ownership of my activities. The R, set realistic goals for yourself. And I'm not talking about not dreaming big. I'm speaking about realistic for where you are right now and what is possible for you based upon your commitments and what is going on in your life right now. What's realistic for you? And making sure that if you do have that big goal that you're achieving, I think that's amazing. But how do we then work backwards and bring that down into realistic steps for you right now? And the K is be kind. Love yourself as you work. Be kind to yourself as you're striving. Celebrate your wins as you go. I'm a big advocate of looking yourself in the mirror and telling yourself what a great job you're doing. You have to celebrate yourself, celebrate your successes, celebrate your wins, and really be loving. Think about yourself as that little girl or little boy who is learning to walk, and really praise yourself every step that you take in the process of achieving your goals. And, check in with yourself on an emotional level. Joy lets you know that you're on the right track. Feeling anger or anxiety or depression, guilt, shame, that means that you're out of alignment and that you're probably working towards something that's actually not something that you want. And those things, right? Shame and guilt and anger and irritation and embarrassment, they're going to crush your spirit. And when your spirit's crushed, you're not going to want to do anything other than probably crawl into bed and pull the covers up over your head. So use your feelings as your internal guidance system. And, remember, nothing is etched in stone for always, right? Even if you get online. And I know a lot of us, we can resist making public declarations of our goals because we're embarrassed, right? What if it doesn't work? What if I don't hit it? What if I change my mind? And one of the most profound concepts that I learned from my coach was just to try things on. And say that you see something in a store, it's a dress, right? And you're like, ooh, that looks cute. I want to try it on. And just because you go in the dressing room and you try it on, it doesn't mean you have to buy it. You might not like the way the material feels. You might not like the way it fits you. Maybe you have on the wrong size and it's just a little adjustment that needs to be made. Maybe you realize you hate the pattern and it just like stretches weird on the skin and just looks like not great on you, or you just don't like the way you feel in it, or it's uncomfortable and you can't sit down. And you just take it off and you put it back on the rack, and you either leave the store and you go to another one, or you find something else to try on. And you don't make it mean anything about yourself or who you are. In the process, it just wasn't like, you just didn't like it, right? And the same thing with your goals. Nothing, even if you skywrite it, like it's going to disappear. It's not etched in stone for forever. You are able to try things on and then take them off if you don't like it, if you don't like how it feels, if you don't feel that it's in alignment, if you're like, I'm not really passionate about this, or people don't really care about this, or this language wasn't the best thing to use, or anything. Nothing is forever. And so no decision, right? No decision is permanent, except like, choosing to end your life. Like there's no decision that is final, right? That can't be changed. You are allowed to change your mind. Permission granted. And you know what? You can change your mind 5 times a day, 10 times a day, 20 times a day. You can be somebody totally different tomorrow than you are right now in this moment. You have permission to do so. And don't you dare let anyone else who has given up, who's stopped on their dreams and on what's important to them, don't you let them talk you out of what you can do. Don't you allow their judgments because of what they gave up on for themselves prevent you from trying things on and from seeing what works and what fits. Because I'm going to tell you what I've learned. The importance of digging in, the importance of discovering what you want to experience, and making those declarations and deciding. It's empowering. When I was first talking to my coach today, my body language, I just felt kind of hunched over, and I wasn't sad, but I just was like, nah. And as I was speaking, as I was making these declarations, like I rose up, I felt empowered, I felt lighter, I felt excited about possibility. And I firmly believe that it is a statement to the universe or to God or whatever you believe in that I am serious about making this year my year. So bring to me what is meant for me. And while I wait for that arrival, I'm going to keep striving toward this goal that I have set. So my friends, I just want to thank you for listening. I know that you are all over the place and you come from very different backgrounds. So if there's anything that I could do to serve you as an individual, I truly hope you will reach out to me. You can find me online at coachmichellemoore.com. My email address is michelle@coachmichellemoore.com, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram, again, as Coach Michelle. My highest intention is that something that I said was of service to you and helps you to step into being the best version of yourself in this new year, and that you know that it is always the perfect time to set a new goal and create a new dream. Thank you so much for listening. Again, I do pray that this served you. Be well. Take care. Bye now.